Hello and welcome to my little channel, where today is going to be more of a news video, and we're just going to kind of ramble on. So if you don't want to hear me ramble on, you might want to skip this one. You've been warned. Alright, so I'm pretty sure all of you have heard recently in New Zealand, I think one or two mosques were shot up by the same person in New Zealand. 49 people were killed by this monster, which is terrible news. I don't have enough adjectives to describe how terrible and what type of monster this person is. This monster is alive so he can see justice. He did not take the coward way out and kill himself, which is good, so he gets to be sent to prison and hopefully never see the light of day of freedom, which is somewhat of a blessing. But yeah, I found a couple of stories of this around this terrible, terrible, terrible tragedy that I found slightly interesting. Not interesting in a good or interesting in a bad way, just interesting. It piqued my interest. With that little ramble out of the way, I want to get into some of the back end of the story, which is this monster, this evil, terrible monster, streamed his crime. On the plus side, we now have video evidence that he committed a crime that could be used against him. So there's that on the slightly positive side, which is good on that aspect. Not that he did this terrible thing, but kind of points to a debate that's been happening for several years now. What is the responsibility of the technology companies like Facebook, Google, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Snapshot, Minds, BitChute? What is the responsibility of policing their content? Now, I do know with like Facebook and YouTube, there's not enough people in the world to actually monitor every single frame for every single second that gets uploaded. Um, don't know exactly how many hours get uploaded per second to YouTube, but I do know it's, I want to say almost up to a week, if not more, per second, so that a human cannot keep up with that much data. So these tech companies use algorithms, which is also improving AI into it. But like I said, this kind of reminds me of an episode of the Black Mirror. If you're not familiar with it, it is a television show that's on Netflix. I don't know if it originally started with Netflix and they just bought the rights to it, or it was always on Netflix. But Black Mirror kind of goes to the negative side, or the side that's not really thought of when it comes to technology. So I'm kind of dubbing this incident as the episode of Black Mirror in real life, because this is actually happening on our news, and it's actually affecting the online through technology that we have created. Um, as good as all those tech companies that are social media, they've done a lot of good things of bridging different ideas, people coming together, people debating great ideas, coming up with better ideas, or just even just sharing someone's point of view. We may not agree with everything a particular person says or a group of people say, but we're able to view that. We're able to grow as a civilization through that, which I find very amazing. But there's also a downside to that. The downside is you got incidents like this, which is terrible. Um, so it kind of goes to the what role do these companies roll on their platform? They're actually providing a platform for countless people within the world to express their ideas, to entertain people, to express help, myself included. I mean, I've created a couple of tutorial videos when it came to links issues that I've encountered, and I wanted to share that. So I mean, that's a plus. I mean, we're helping people, but at the same time, there's also this element that I don't think any company would have thought about 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I don't think I don't think Mark Zuckerberg thought, what, 12 years, 15 years ago, I don't remember when Facebook started, that his platform would be abused by a monster like this to live stream such a terrible thing. So that kind of goes to what role do these companies have to monitor their content? I mean, I kind of agree that they need to, but at what point, or not at what point, but how far should they go? Should they censor everything and kind of bulldoze everything that could be negative? Or do they kind of limit it to more news esque type where you kind of talk about the issue but not show the issue, if that makes sense? I don't know. I don't have an answer to that, and I find this debate interesting because the consequences of what side prevails will be huge. You're either going to silence a whole bunch of people or you're going to drive a whole bunch of people off the platform, which whatever platform it is. So there's that debate. I mean, where's that balance? And none of these companies know where that balance is between removing content and making sure people stay. I mean, there's clearly examples of like this. This shouldn't have been promoted or shouldn't have been able to be viewed by as many people as it did, but at the same time record it for evidence. So yeah, this is the extreme example. This is the yes, that should not be allowed, no questions asked type thing. But then you get into the nuances where something kind of goes against the grain but doesn't break the rules. Should that be allowed? Or is it only allowed when a certain group does it, like a established news company? It's okay for them, but not for individual creators like myself to report on it. Does that become an issue? And that's where the consequences that people don't understand go into play is yes, there's extremes examples where we can agree that that should not be okay. But it's the nuances within the situation. And that's why this debate is interesting to me, is because of that, is that nobody really has an answer. And I understand that there's people being, quote, censored, but they're just not, I mean, they're not really being censored. It's just that their content is slightly onto the extreme side where these platforms don't really want to promote it, but they're still able to upload the video. They're still able to get views based off of their fans. But yeah, it's like an interesting debate, and it's a conundrum. Is how far do you be bulldozed to make sure people stay on the site, but also give enough freedom to allow people to express their ideas in a manner that is socially acceptable? And this is a example of that should not be allowed. But how do you go about making sure that's not allowed when there's so much content out there being uploaded? But of course, this is kind of where it gets political in the video. I don't care how you view Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez or AOC, but she said a tweet that people find very insensitive, and I'm going to slightly defend it. And I don't really want to put words in her mind or misinterpret what she said. I am just going to explain my opinions and what I took out of it. As you can see, the tweet's up there. It's on Fox News. I couldn't be bothered to open up Twitter to find this. At first, I thought I was saying, imagine being told your house of faith isn't safe anymore. But I couldn't say imagine because of Charleston, Pittsburgh, Sutherland Springs. What good are your thoughts and prayers? You don't even keep the pews safe. I think that should be people safe, but I think I understand where she's coming from, because I don't want to put a false message behind her. The thing she's saying is, what good is the saying thoughts and prayers to the victims? That in itself is an action of comfort, saying, I sympathize or empathize with what you're going through, and we're sorry that this terrible thing has happened, which is socially normal. But I think what she's getting at is, what good is that if we don't do any actions? What good is just saying that if nothing comes of it to prevent these actions? Like I said, I don't have an answer to what we can do to prevent these, because monsters are going to be monsters. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but we can't stop every crime. We cannot stop every terrorist. We can't stop terrible things from happening. There's things that are outside of our control that we cannot stop. And unfortunately, this is one of them. But I think where she's coming from is we need to do something. We need to prevent this from happening. We need to keep people safe. At least that's my opinion from this tweet. I don't want to put words in her mouth. and I'm slightly defending her. But yeah, since she is a representative of New York from the Bronx and high profile, she's going to get criticism, rightfully so. I mean, she's going to be picked apart. Everything she says will be used against her some way. That's what she signed up for, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on which side that you're on. So I'm kind of defending this. This tweet alone, I think I know where she's coming from, so I'm defending it with an asterisk. I mean, she has said some crazy things in the past that I can't get behind. But that leads me to the last thing, which the other part of the I'm dubbing the Black Mirror in real life episode is our man, our hero, our boy, PewDiePie, that is fighting the corporate machine that is T-Series, was also dragged up into this terrible thing. I'm very unfortunate. He did nothing wrong here. I mean, he literally did nothing wrong. I mean, I understand that he's on top. He's the most subscribed YouTuber on YouTube, which means that people are going to take shots at him to try to dethrone him. That's the price you pay of being on top. I think the quote is, "It's lonely being on top." So that's where he is right now. And unfortunately, part of this episode is the shooter said, "Subscribe to PewDiePie." That monster dragged his good name, dragged PewDiePie's brand through the mud, spat on it, stomped on it, shot at it by saying that. It's very unfortunate for Felix that this monster did this. It's completely out of his control. Felix did nothing wrong, but yet he got dragged into this, and it's sickening. Let's see if he says this. This is what his response to this. "I feel absolutely sickening to have my name uttered by this person," he said on Twitter. "My heart and thoughts goes out to the victims, families, and everyone affected by this tragedy." I mean, he have anybody that gets it, it's going to be PewDiePie. It's going to be Felix. This is terrible. I mean, imagine that you're Felix. You're just doing memes, some crappy news show every once in a while, and then next thing you know, your name is being spewed all over the news, being linked to a mass shooting. That's gotta be terrible for him. And like I said, I don't blame PewDiePie for this tragedy, and no one should blame him. This monster took advantage of a meme to subscribe to PewDiePie, and probably did more damage than any Wall Street Journal attack on him did, because it is linked to a terrible thing. That's why I'm kind of dubbing this the Black Mirror episode in real life. Hopefully, you all have a wonderful day, morning, or evening, and make sure that you stay safe and you spread positivity and you just spread random acts of kindness. And also, subscribe to PewDiePie.